All right, in the last class, we were discussing about sympathomimetics and we saw the classification. The classification includes mainly three categories. One is directly acting sympathomimetics, the other one is indirectly acting sympathomimetics, third one is sympathomimetics with mixed mechanism of action. So under direct acting sympathomimetics, we have four subcategories. One is endogenous catecholamines. Examples include dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine. These three structures must be familiar to you as we have discussed these structures as part of the biosynthesis of catecholamines. Okay, and then the second subcategory in the direct acting sympathomimetics is alpha agonists. We saw the chemical structures of phenylephrine, nafazolin, xylometazoline, oxymetazoline, clonidine, and methyl dopa. So I have compared the structures with each one, and I have told you a few tips to how to remember the chemical structure of each drug. And we saw the synthesis of phenylephrine. Okay, then there is another subcategory under direct acting sympathomimetics, that is beta agonists. The first example is isoproterenol, terbutaline, then salbutamol, and bitalterol. Okay, so we have to see the structures of beta adrenergic receptor agonists today. Okay, then the classification includes fourth subcategory, that is dual alpha and beta agonists. That is example is dobutamine. Okay, then with this we complete the classification of first category of sympathomimetics, that is direct acting sympathomimetics. Then the second category of sympathomimetics is indirectly acting sympathomimetics. Examples include amphetamine, hydroxyamphetamine, propylhexedrine, pseudoephedrine. Okay, then we have the third category of sympathomimetics, that is sympathomimetics with mixed mechanism of action. Examples include ephedrine and metariminol. And I have already given a notice that the handwriting would not be legible as I am scribbling on the screen. Okay, then in order to recollect the structures of endogenous catecholamines, we have three examples: dopamine, noradrenaline, and adrenaline as the examples for endogenous catecholamines. We had recollected, we have revised the biosynthesis of catecholamines. How biosynthesis of catecholamines happens? It starts from the amino acid called phenylalanine. Okay, phenylalanine will be acted upon hydroxylase, that will be converted into tyrosine. The enzyme hydroxylase adds OH group. OH group. Okay, then the tyrosine will be acted upon by again a hydroxylase, tyrosine hydroxylase, and adds another hydroxyl group that will convert tyrosine to dopa. Dopa now will be acted upon by the enzyme called dopa decarboxylase. That means decarboxylase. Decarboxylase means removal of carboxylic acid. Then that will convert dopa into dopamine. Fine. Then the dopamine will be acted upon by beta hydroxylase enzyme. That means an hydroxyl group is added to the beta carbon. Beta carbon is present at attached to the alpha carbon. That alpha carbon is immediately attached to the amino group present in the structure. Then that will convert dopamine into noradrenaline. Noradrenaline will be acted upon by enzyme named N-methyl transferase. Okay, that will attach a methyl group to the amino group. That will finally give us adrenaline. So entire biosynthesis, dopamine, noradrenaline, and adrenaline are the examples for endogenous catecholamines. For the same biosynthesis, I have given chemical structure view, how and what all are the modifications are happening. Okay, so this one, first one is phenylalanine. Okay, from I have told you the general structure of amino acids, that is one carbon will be having two functional groups, that is carboxylic acid as well as amino group. Okay, attached to it directly, and the third group will be R, that is side chain. Okay, based on the side chain, we the name of the amino acid differs. Okay, the amino acid can be identified by observing its side chain. Okay, a single carbon attached with two functional groups, one is carboxylic acid and amino group. Okay, and a side chain. Based on the side chain, we determine what type of amino acid that is. Fine. So that is the general structure of amino acid. So once hydroxylase, the enzyme hydroxylase adds OH group to the phenylalanine to convert it into tyrosine. So where the hydroxyl group is attached? Here to the phenyl ring at para position. Fine. So that will give us tyrosine. Now another hydroxylase comes and adds another hydroxyl group. that is here. So now we know that a catecholamine is a phenyl ring having two hydroxyl groups attached to the positions just adjacent to each other. Okay, so now we have catechol ring in dopa. So the tyrosine is converted to dopa by the action of another hydroxylase, that is tyrosine hydroxylase. Now the third enzyme acting is decarboxylase. D means removal. What is being removed? Carboxylic group. Where is the carboxylic group? Here. So this carboxylic group from the dopa will be removed to convert it into dopamine. So you got dopamine. Now dopamine will be acted upon by beta hydroxylase. Here the hydroxyl group is added at particularly on beta carbon. So beta carbon is here. Fine. So that will give us what? Noradrenaline. Okay, noradrenaline then added with a methyl group here by the enzyme called N-methyl transferase will be converting noradrenaline into adrenaline. Here I have reminded that the name nor in the prefix of noradrenaline is indicating that it is lacking one methyl group than that of adrenaline. So whenever we use nor in chemical name, that indicates that there is a similar compound to this one. Chemical structure wise it is very much similar, but only difference between those two structures is the compound having nor in its prefix will lack one methyl group from the corresponding similar structure. So noradrenaline and adrenaline are same in chemical structure, but only difference in noradrenaline is that it will lack methyl group from adrenaline. So this is how we have. So it is very easy to remember the metabolism, biosynthesis of catecholamines. You need to remember the sequence of compounds that is being synthesized. First phenylalanine, then tyrosine, dopa, dopamine, noradrenaline, and adrenaline. And the enzymes include, most of them are hydroxylases, except the third one is decarboxylase, dopa decarboxylase, and the last enzyme is N-methyl transferase. Okay, otherwise everything is a hydroxylase. Hydroxylase enzyme performs the action of adding OH group. Okay, and you have to remember the sequence and the structural differences in order to compare and contrast and remember easily. Okay, then we started seeing the chemical structures of the drugs under sympathomimetics. So till the discussion happened now, we can easily remember the structures of endogenous catecholamines. Those are dopamine, noradrenaline, and adrenaline. So we need to proceed to the alpha adrenergic receptor agonists. What are the examples? First one is phenylephrine. So phenylephrine is very much similar to the adrenaline, and it is lacking only one hydroxyl group here. That means it is not a catechol. Okay, it is having non-catechol parent chain. Okay, so this is ethyl bridge and this is amino group attached to CH3. So we need to learn the synthesis of phenylephrine. The starting material for the synthesis of phenylephrine is 3-chloroacetyl phenyl. And how to remember the synthesis? By correlating retrosynthetic analysis. Retrosynthetic analysis means we are remembering in a reverse direction. So by seeing the starting material, we should compare it with our final product, that is phenylephrine. So how far it is satisfying the structure of phenylephrine. So it is satisfying until methyl bridge. Until methyl bridge, everything is getting satisfied. Only instead of OH, we have C double bond O, carbonyl group. Okay, it is attached with methylamine. Methylamine, when you attach methylamine, complete structure is formed except the OH. Okay, we don't have hydroxyl group. In order to get hydroxyl group, we are adding hydrogen with a particular corresponding catalyst, and we are resolving it with the decamphor. Dissolution happens when the compound is optically active, and we need to get only specific isomer of that, this one. So we are getting this. So we have discussed this synthesis. Then we saw the structure of nafazolin. We have compared it with clonidine. So in nafazolin, NAFA indicates that the structure is containing naphthalene. Naphthalene is nothing but two benzene rings fused together. This is naphthalene, and this is bridged with imidazole. I have showed you the difference between imidazole and imidazole. Imidazole will have two double bonds in it. It is a 5-membered ring having two nitrogens in it. Okay, having two double bonds will be called imidazole. Here, one bond is removed by adding two hydrogens, so that is imidazole. So, nafazolone you can easily remember by remembering that it will have two structures. One is naphthalene and another one is imidazole, and bridged with a methyl group. So this is this one. So, and there is a chance of getting confused with the structure of clonidine, because clonidine is also having two heterocyclic rings. One is heterocyclic ring, other one is benzene, okay, chlorobenzene. That is substituted to chlorobenzene, to dichlorobenzene. Okay. Here in clonidine, clo means it is indicating chlorine atoms. Okay. And the benzene with two chlorine atoms, okay, will be linked with amine group. Bridge is amine group. Earlier in naphthalene, bridge was methyl group. Okay, and the ring, the heterocyclic ring imidazoline is same in both naphthalene as well as clonidine. So you have to remember the similarities as well as the differences. So in this way, we can remember naphthalene as well as clonidine. Then we see the structure of xylometazoline and oxymetazoline. So in xylometazoline, it is having xylene. Xylene is this part. Okay, benzene ring with the methyl groups. Okay, and you have tertiary butyl group. Tertiary butyl group means what? A single carbon attached with three more carbons. Okay, this one, this one, this one. So this is a tertiary carbon. So tertiary butyl group attached to the xylene. Okay. So that xylene ring, substituted xylene ring having a bridge, methyl bridge, is connected to again what? This is what ring? We have seen it earlier. So you should remember this is again an imidazoline ring. Xylometazoline also will have imidazoline ring, but the other part, other ring is xylene. So, and we have the following compound, that is oxymetazoline. If you observe the names, xylometazoline, oxymetazoline. So here oxy is extra. So structure will be very much similar to xylometazoline.